One of the first things Tim Nicholls did after becoming Treasurer was commission an audit of Queensland's finances. Today, he was handed an interim report. It tells a sobering story of debt and deficit, but perhaps even more grim are the recommendations to fix the government's financial woes. Among them, tax increases, job cuts and further asset sales. We'll hear from Mr Nicholls shortly, but first, just how bad are the books?
I'm afraid I have an image of myself and trusty co-pilot, or the Treasurer, Tim Nicholls. We are in a plane, and we're there's been a massive failure of the systems, and we are heading on a power dive into a canyon. And we've got our hands on the controls, and we're trying desperately to pull out of the dive.
It's the stuff of nightmares. For weeks now, the Premier and his team have been painting a scary picture of Queensland's finances, of a state heading for a crash.
There is a massive fiscal repair task ahead of Queensland.
Queensland is in a desperate financial position.
They've been scrimping and saving, slashing consultancies and travel, and angering unions with cuts to public servants on temporary contracts.
Half our workforce is disappearing on 30 June. I work as a child safety officer. I do a lot of great work with the families. I'm not going to be able to do that if we're missing our admin team.
The government's been elected to make some very tough decisions. We're doing them. There is a human cost, and I feel really sorry for those people. I'm getting the letters, I get the emails now, and I'm replying to every one. But I have to act, and so does the government. We have to do this. There is no choice.
And there are tougher decisions yet to come. Today, the former Federal Treasurer Peter Costello and his audit team released their interim findings about the state's finances.
It's not a pretty picture, and it indicates that a lot of hard work will have to be done to get Queensland back to the position it was.
I think it will be sobering reading for the government.
The report criticises the previous government, saying Labor was unrealistically optimistic in its budget estimations and predictions. The new government's chief concern is the level of debt.
Debt will reach a maximum of $100 billion if restorative action is not taken. The debt will incur an interest expense of over $5.3 billion at that rate. That is about $115 million a week that Queenslanders will have to find in order to fund the debt legacy that's been left behind by Labor.
The fear is the state's credit rating will slip further.
The path that Queensland has been taking in recent years is unsustainable. It cannot go on as it has. And we document here that if it were to continue the policy of the past, it's not a question of getting back its AAA credit rating, but it could expect to be downgraded further.
Peter Costello has offered a range of options to help get the budget back into surplus, as promised by 2014-15. They include increasing revenue from land tax, transfer duty, gambling and mining royalties, while restricting eligibility for the first homeowners grant. Even asset sales, so controversial under the former Bligh government, are among the recommendations to pay down debt.
If Queensland wants to get back to AAA, it won't be able to do it through taxes and expenditure reductions alone. Just can't be done. The problem's too big. If it wants to get back to AAA, it will have to retire a power load of debt. And that will mean utilising the proceeds of assets.
It should look at selling off the remaining power assets. So by that we mean selling off Powerlink, selling off the power generators, CS Energy and Stanwell Corporation. And a little over 12 months ago, we put that view to the former government, but that was ignored by both the government and the opposition in an election year. But I think at a time like this, when we do need to take really strong decisions, looking at selling those assets is imperative.
What you have to look at is the reaction to the last time asset sales were undertaken in Queensland. I think the answer is right there. It would be a very brave government to be contemplating that in the current environment. That's something that this government said that they're going to take to the people. My guess is that the people will have a resounding no.
I call the Premier.
The LNP's first budget is due in September. That should give taxpayers an indication of just where the pain will be meted out.
Queenslanders do need to know that there are tough times ahead if we are to restore Queensland's government's financial health.
The patients in critical condition We've got to stop this patient's vital signs from disappearing before we go in for the radical surgery.
The toughest pill to swallow may be job cuts.